Did you know that the big berthers in Warzone 3 are actually also submarines? Yeah, you can just drive around underwater and you'll never run out of breath. It's kind of broken. And that's just one of 17 hidden mechanics and tips that I'm going to cover today that you probably didn't know existed and you definitely need to be abusing right now. So let's start off by taking a look at Recon drones. These are one of the most powerful field upgrades in the game if you do happen to find one, but I see so many people using these incorrectly and missing one key mechanic that I'm going to tell you today. What most people do is they'll get their Recon drone out, they'll fly it around and start marking people, maybe helping their team out until the drone just runs out of battery and then you're back running around in your body. Well, what you can actually do is fly that drone up into the sky, press the button to get out of the drone, and it will stay up there hovering. What most people don't realize is that the Recon drones will passively scan for enemies and actually put faint warning pings on your HUD so you always know where enemies are. You can see in this clip here, I move the drone up, see two teams fighting, and it starts pinging enemies for me, leading to me getting a really easy kill. So next time you find a Recon drone, you don't have to be a complete sentinel and just sit in it the whole time. Park it up, get it scanning, and go and get some kills. The next hidden mechanic today is all about suppression mines. These are another incredibly useful field upgrade because if you ever run into one of these, you can't move, you can't really see in front of you. However, what people do wrong with this is they will always chuck it on the floor and they don't realize that this can go on walls. So I can move up to this door, chuck it up here, and now it is much harder to notice. Even if this door is left open, they're going to run in after you, they're going to get suppressed, they're going to be looking on the floor thinking, where the hell is it, where the hell is it? They're not going to realize it's up there, and you have won that gunfight 100% of the time. Get creative with your suppression mines. Don't just chuck them on the floor. This next tip is one of my favorites. It's going to speed up your weapon gunsmithing, putting attachments on your guns so much. Unfortunately, in this game, there are a ton of attachments, and so every time you go and grab a new weapon, the first thing I'm looking for is the Choreo Eagle's Eye, because I want to run that in pretty much every long-range gun. But going through and having to scroll through every time is such a pain. Well, what you probably didn't realize is you can favorite attachments. I don't know how you do it on a controller, but on mouse, you just right-click the attachment, click add to favorites, and now if I go to a completely different LMG, for example, like the DG58, maybe I want to change to this gun, and select it, then go to the gunsmith and open up optic, you'll see that the Choreo Eagle's Eye appears at the front of the list, so I don't need to go scrolling through. Super important. Go and favorite some attachments right now. This next mechanic today is a must know if you're ever in a scenario where you need to be sneaky and most importantly, quiet. Doors inside of Urzikstan are loud. Even if you walk up to it and you open it rather than charging through it, it's still very audible. Anyone inside this building, especially in any of these rooms, is going to know that you're coming through. So how do you get through doors without making too much noise? Well, what you need to do is ADS, walk towards the door, and you'll see that the prompt changes from open door to peek door. Then you can peek through the door, which opens it with only a slight squeaking sound. It's not very easy to hear. And then you can come out of ADS and you can just walk through, opening the door with absolutely no sound. This is a super overpowered tactic, and it's how most people are sneaking up on you when you don't realize it. So definitely add door peeking to your arsenal. Now, if you're liking this kind of content and you're finding it informative and you want to see more of it moving forward, then please do consider subscribing down below. It takes one click and you can change your mind in the future. I've got a ton of stuff planned for Warzone 3 moving forward. Want to have you guys along for the ride, and it really does help out the channel, so consider subscribing. Next up, we're going to take a look at a perk which barely anyone uses, but a little known mechanic of it might make it become the new meta to counter one of the most used perks in the game. That perk being High Alert. Everyone is using High Alert. Kind of annoying because it basically means you can never ever get the drop on anyone. If you ever look at someone, the High Alert pings and they instantly just turn and you don't ever get that opportunity to get the kill. Well, little did you know, Cold-Blooded in perk slot 3, yes, it doesn't really help in many ways because it makes you undetectable by thermal optics and tactical cameras and recon drones, but it also makes you not trigger High Alert. So you can have Cold-Blooded on your class, and that means if you're playing something like a sniper or you're someone who doesn't play as quickly and likes to line up their shots a bit more, now suddenly they have no indication that you're looking at them. They're going to go, my High Alert didn't ping, like, how am I dead? Well, it's because you're running Cold-Blooded and they never realized what this really did. Next on the list today, I've got a really important hidden mechanic when it comes to these ascenders or rappels, whatever you want to call them. There are so many of them on Urzikstan, especially in this downtown area. You've got the vertical ones to get on top of the roofs. You've got the horizontal ones to get between roofs as well. And then also we have, there's actually one flying over me right now, you've got the redeploy drones as well. Now, unfortunately, when you use these and you go to the bottom and you activate them, there is a little bit of a delay before you start jumping up them, which can get you killed a lot of times. If you're running away from an enemy and you need to get up this really, really quickly, you're an absolute sitting duck for this first second of activation. But we can completely cut out that delay by simply jumping before we activate this. As you'll see, if I move up to it, jump and press ascend, I completely cut out that little bit of the delay. And as I said, the same thing goes for the horizontal zip lines. If I just walk up to this and activate it, there's a slight delay while I get that hook thing out and I strap it on. It's not good. I'm just going to die. Someone's going to see me. I need to optimize my movement as much as possible. So instead, if I jump and activate, I'm on it instantly. No delay whatsoever. I am absolutely flying away. Anyone who's chasing me is going to think, how did he get on that so quickly? If you don't know this yet, you need to start using it. It's going to improve your gameplay dramatically. Now, while running around Urzikstan, you've probably seen these hidden supply caches that are buried under the ground and seen that you can actually get some really good loot from these. They drop things like kill streaks, they drop a decent amount of money, which is awesome. What people don't realize is just how many of these there are, and the fact that there are actually specific routes you can take, either at the start of a game, or maybe if you want a regain after coming back from the Gulag, which will lead you along a line of them, allowing you to just get crazy amounts of money. You can just see in the footage in the background here, I run through 4 supply caches in probably a minute of the game starting, and I've got enough money to get a loadout, to get some plates, to get a UAV. I am fully kitted out and ready to start the game quicker than pretty much anyone else is going to be. It doesn't even involve doing a contract. No one's going to have any idea I'm doing it. If you want to see a full map showing all the locations of these hidden supply caches so you can start coming up with your own routes to take if you want to get regains later on in the game, then I'll leave a link to the Warzone Tac Map website. I came across this website while scrolling through Twitter, and it is such a useful resource to just know where everything is on the map. Start learning these, start implementing them into your game so you always have a way to regain later on. The next mechanic that you need to start abusing is live pinging. These are basically legal wall hacks. Most people use them just when they're playing in squads because they want to, ping someone and say, hey, I pinged someone, see an enemy over there. But you need to be using this in solos and in 1v1s because you can ping someone and that live ping will stay with them behind walls, behind any cover, for a couple of extra seconds, and it can literally be the difference between you getting the drop on an enemy and them getting the drop on you. I've recently started implementing this into my play, and it just makes gunfights so easy. I think it's pretty broken, and it should probably disappear as soon as you lose sight of someone, but this is the way it's designed, so you need to abuse this right now. Moving on swiftly, have you ever been in the situation where you've tried to get your loadout from your loadout crate, you've fumbled around trying to pick the right loadout, and you've died in the process to a team that's just looking down on you, standing still, thinking you're an idiot, and you're sent back to the main menu? Well, it's really, really annoying to have to spend so much time in that menu, but we can make it so we can get the loadout we want instantly every time. It all starts out in the loadout menu, where what you want to do is find the loadout that you're probably going to be using in game. So at the moment, I'm really liking this Ram 7 that Metaphor suggested. This thing's a beast, and the Lockwood 680 on mouse and keyboard. What you want to do is set this as your favorite loadout. What this will do is it will reorder the loadouts so that that loadout is right at the beginning of the list, or in the loadout menu in game, it'll appear right at the top. So now inside of the game with the loadout drop in front of us, as I said, we can go into the menu and we'll have that favorited loadout at the top of the list. So if you're on controller, you can just quickly select it with no problem. However, if you're on mouse and keyboard, you're still having to move your mouse over and click the loadout, which isn't too good. So here's the little tip. All you need to do is open up the loadout and then just press space on your keyboard a couple of times and you will instantly select the loadout. Let me show you. Press F, press space, and you've got the loadout. That is the quickest way you're going to be able to do it. You're going to be able to run up to loadouts, grab the loadout really quickly, and then be ready to challenge enemies who might be looking at you. You're never going to get caught like you used to. My next tip today is all about abusing enemy proximity chat. As you all know, is a super competitive advantage to ensure that in your audio settings, you have your game voice channel set to all lobby, because then anyone who's using an open mic or is using in-game chat to talk with their team, you can hear them whenever they come near you. But what a lot of people don't realize is, well, how far can they be from me if I'm starting to hear their proximity chat? Well, the answer to that is 50 meters. That's not too helpful, though, because how far is 50 meters? Luckily, it's very simple. If I mark this building over here, around here, you can see here 50 meters, and then look at our mini-map in the top left-hand corner, it's pretty easy to see that 50 meters is halfway between you in the center and the edge of the mini-map square, or the edge of the circle if you're playing with a circular mini-map. So what this does is it cuts out a lot of options. I'm not going to be hearing proximity chat and thinking, oh my god, they might be over in that building. No, that's too far away. That's 85 meters away. So they're going to be in something like this building, or this building, or probably down to around this building down here. Cuts out a lot of not useful options and gives you way more info. Next one today is for all of you Vondel fans, and I only found this out recently. I thought this was a joke, but there's actually an Easter egg on this map with these vending machines that have the lions on them, where if you shoot them, money comes out of them. That was 2,000 for one bullet. You can also melee them, I believe, and we get some more money. That was a load more money. Shoot these up, and you just get loads of money for free. I believe it takes 30 seconds for these to reset as well, so you can just sit here for a couple of minutes and hit them all up a couple of times, get a load of money. It's really good to start the game off, or if you just need to regain at some point, maybe get some teammates back and you can get to any of these vending machines around the map. It's a really useful thing to know. And to make it even better, it's not just the vending machines. You can see here we've got these ATMs, which also have the lions on. Well, you know what that means. Free money, legitimate withdrawal, a nice little bit of cash, only 500, but definitely a little Easter egg you need to have in your back pocket. This next one will be really quick to explain, but it doesn't make it any less important. If you're coming back from the Gulag, so you're floating back in, or you've gone off a redeploy drone and you just want to land somewhere safely, maybe aim for water next time, because water causes no fall damage. You don't need to pull your chute whatsoever. You can just fall straight in at max speed. No one's going to beam you out the sky. You can then swim around underneath, safe from any shots, and get to a position out of line of sight of enemies. It's not always the best bet to try and land in with the parachute. Sometimes water is actually your best bet. Next, I've got a couple of back-to-back hidden mechanics and tips for the Gulag specifically. Starting off with the fact that you can actually spawn in the Gulag with two primary weapons. So many people just spawn in, assume that the gun they're holding is the one they've got to use. But you can see here, I had this longbow as a secondary in this Gulag, which was really nice to go around the corner and take my first couple of shots, rip the guy's armor off, and then I push with my other weapon. Having that flexibility will give you such an advantage over your opponent if they're just using the primary weapon. The second tip is all about the money on the floor. There is so much money on the floor of a Gulag now. So what you need to be doing, assuming you're winning your Gulag, is in the couple of seconds afterwards, go around and sweep up as much money as possible so that when you get back into the game, you have as much money to potentially go for a new loadie, to go for a UAV, to buy a teammate back, all things that you can do with this money in the Gulag. And the final tip for the Gulag is all about the weapon that no one wants to get in the Gulag. It's the Sidewinder. This thing is so sluggish, feels so horrible, but by turning it to single fire as opposed to full auto, it actually does more damage. Let me show you. I'm going to fire at this dude's head in full auto mode. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, dies in 4 bullets. Now I'm going to swap to semi-auto and we'll count again. 1, 2, 3. 3 bullets. 1 less bullet to kill, including those headshots. So next time you get the Sidewinder in your Gulag, turn it to semi-auto, start clicking away or tapping away on controller, and you'll beat the opponent if they stay in full auto. A really important little tip for a horrible gun. Okay guys, this next tip is going to give you access to a ton of self-revives in the mid-game that no one else is touching because they don't realize how you can get a load of these. As we all know, self-revives are really, really good to have multiple of because every time you go down, we will replace the self-revive we use with one in our backpack. So to get a load of these, start looking in bathroom cabinets. These are little loot containers inside pretty much every toilet and bathroom on the map. And there'll be so many times in the mid-game where you run into a building, it's searched, all the bags, all the boxes, but not the bathroom cabinets. Check those. You might get stims, you might get battle rage, you might get medic vests, but most importantly, you might get self-revives. So definitely worth adding in to those downtime moments in the mid-game. So now that you know all of those hidden tips and mechanics, the next thing you need to go and do is watch this video where I'll take you guys through 6 Warzone settings that you probably didn't know existed and you definitely need to change right now.